Oi, pessoal, tudo bem? This is Eli from PortugueseWithEli.com, and today I have a upper beginner lesson, and actually it's very important also for intermediate students. It's a little secret of the Portuguese verbs that usually students at the intermediate level fail to comprehend. So, by watching this video to the end, you will know way more than most of the learners do when they learn by themselves. And if you want to get a report to improve your Portuguese even faster, go to www.portuguesewithla.com/gift. I have prepared this very good report for you. This is my gift. So, today, segredinho dos verbos portugueses. A little secret of the Portuguese verbs. And this is something that teachers usually don't talk about because sometimes they don't know. Because, I have talked about that in my blog. They're not really um, trained teachers. They're just very nice Brazilian people who teach Portuguese. So, the thing is regência verbal. And this is so important, so important for people who study Portuguese because if you don't know what regência verbal is, you keep making the same mistakes over and over. And even though people will understand you, they will say, "Oh, that's the gringo." Not that they mean ill by saying gringo. It's not a bad word here in Brazil, but you always be the other, someone else, not really someone who understands what we say or the way we say it. So, regência verbal, that's a very simple thing. It's what preposition goes with what verb. It's a collocation. Probably you know that in English, but in Portuguese, the name collocation means something else. So, some verbs don't need prepositions. So, we have here, eu bebo água. Ele ganhou R$ 1.000 na loteria. Very lucky. And we have two sentences here with a preposition. Gosto de acarajé. I really love it. Eu gosto de acarajé. É verdade. E eu concordo com você. Those are two of the most common verbs that we have in Portuguese, and probably you know them, although probably you omit the G because you don't remember to add it. So, gosto de acarajé, concordo com você. And o que fazer para aprender direito? What can you do to get it right? Well, I have no other piece of advice than study. You have to memorize when you see it in writing, when people say it. You have to get exposure to the language. You have to immerse yourself in the language. Because if you don't, those little prepositions will just go by unnoticed. And this is not what you want, right? So, but I have here a very short list, so to speak, of some verbs that have common prepositions. And the prepositions tend to change depending on whether the following word is a noun. Here I use the word nome for that, but it's actually substantivo. But I don't like the word substantivo. It's like, well, that's a very stupid word. Antes de nome, or before a noun, and antes de verbo, or before a verb. So you also have to pay attention to that. Here I have, for example, acabar com and acabar de. Por exemplo, acabar com o trabalho, acabar de trabalhar. Acabar de escrever o projeto, acabar com a escrita do projeto. Acostumar-se. This is a very common one that my students tend to make mistakes from time to time, even though they are very advanced. So, acostumar-se before a noun, a or com, you have the choice, but before a verb, only a. So, acostumar-se com a música brasileira, não é difícil, e acostumar-se a falar português. Acreditar. Before a noun, em, and before a verb, you don't need it. Acreditar em você, acreditar em histórias. Ajudar. Before a noun, it doesn't need any, or before a noun or a pronoun, by the way. You don't need the preposition, but before a verb, a. Ajudar a fazer alguma coisa. Continuar. Before a noun, you can either omit or use com. Continuar com a história, continuar com a aula, continuar com a apresentação ou continuar a apresentação, a aula, a história. But before a verb, continuar a. Continuar a fazer, continuar a apresentar, continuar a dizer. Depender, always de. And please, 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 remember, in English you say depend on, but in Portuguese depend of. If you have Brazilian friends who speak English, when they talk to you, probably they say, oh, it depends of what you say. You probably heard that. Try and find something in your mind because I know you know it. So, in Portuguese, depender de. Precisar. This is also a very good one. Here in Brazil, precisar de something and precisar verb. You don't need the de when you have a verb. But in Portugal and in some areas here in Brazil, we tend to speak in a different way. But this is standard Portuguese. You need that. And pensar em ou sobre with a noun or pensar em with a verb. Pensar sobre o problema, pensar em você. But pensar em fazer alguma coisa sobre o tempo ou pensar em fazer alguma coisa em casa agora que nós temos a quarentena. But here I have some very special verbs, two actually, dois casos especiais. And they are esquecer-se de, lembrar-se de. Those are the verbs to forget and to remember. Here you can use ele nunca se esquece das chaves. And if you say ele nunca se esquece, you have to use the preposition de. Ele nunca se esquece das chaves. If you don't use the se, if you don't use it as a pronominal verb, ele nunca esquece as chaves. Regular. Ele nunca esquece das chaves. Okay. But if you use eu me esqueço, você se esquece, ele se esquece, nós nos esquecemos, you always have to use the preposition. And the same goes for lembrar. Lembrar-se de algo, lembrar de algo, lembrar algo. Okay? So that's a very short, a very little secret, but that's going to help your Portuguese to advance and progress by leaps and bounds. And the last thing that I have to say is, well, if you want to get rid of those little mistakes that we make, like, and that flag us as gringo, I'm not a gringo, I'm Brazilian, but if you are like from maybe Mexico, you're a gringo as well because you're not from Brazil. You can go to www.intermediateportuguese.com/opportunity and you can find this very good report, which is actually a short course on Brazilian Portuguese verbs. Go there and get it. And keep coming back because we have new classes going out every week. Thank you very much for being here. Muito obrigado e até a próxima. Tchau!